Okay, let's be real. The absolute worst part of any theme park trip? The lines. Just endless waiting. Well, Disney's answer is called Lightning Lane, and it's an amazing way to skip those lines, but it's also kind of complicated. In fact, it's really like two totally different systems depending on which coast you're on. So today, we're going to break it all down and make you an expert.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll cover the basic tools of the line-skipping game. Then the big one, Disneyland versus Disney World. They are not the same. We'll look at the multi-pass versus the single pass, get into some serious pro strategies, and finally, touch on park hopping and the super fancy Premier Pass. Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we've got to understand the tools of the trade. There are really only two ways you can pay to skip a line, and knowing the difference between them is absolutely crucial for everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, so tool number one is the multi-pass. You probably know it by its old name, Genie Plus. Basically, you pay one flat price for the whole day, and that gets you access to the Lightning Lane for a ton of different rides. You book them one at a time throughout the day. This is your workhorse, right? It's going to cover most of the rides you want to do.
And then you've got the single pass. Again, you might remember this as the individual Lightning Lane. This is totally different. It's not a bundle deal. It's an a la carte purchase for one specific ride. We're talking about the biggest, most popular headliners, the ones that are not included with that multi-pass. So, if the multi-pass is your workhorse, this is your special weapon for that one can't-miss attraction.
All right, now for what is, without a doubt, the most confusing part of this whole thing. And you really got to pay attention here. The system in Disneyland and the system in Disney World are, well, they're like night and day. Completely different animals.
And really, the whole difference between the two parks comes down to this one simple question. Are you a planner, or are you more of a spontaneous, go-with-the-flow type? Because how you answer that changes everything about how you'll use this system.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. Look at this. Over at Disney World in Florida, it's all about planning ahead. You can pre-book up to 3 rides weeks before you even leave your house. It's made for the super organizer. But then you look at Disneyland in California, and nope, you can't book a single thing until the day of and only after you've physically walked into the park. It's a completely spontaneous, live-in-the-moment kind of system. Okay, so you get the tools, you get the huge difference between the parks. Now let's really dig into how these two passes work together. Because odds are, on a busy park day, you're probably going to want to use both.
So let's break it down side by side. The multi-pass is your all-you-can-ride buffet, kinda. One price gets you dozens of attractions. But the key is, you generally have to take the next available time slot. With the single pass, you're buying access to one specific e-ticket ride, and, this is important, you usually get to choose a specific return window from whatever times are left. So one is for quantity, the other is for quality and control.
And just so you know what we're talking about, these are the heavy hitters. You know, the rides everyone sprints to at the beginning of the day. Think Rise of the Resistance in Star Wars Land, Radiator Springs Racers in Cars Land, or the insane Cosmic Rewind coaster at Epcot. These are the ones you have to buy separately. They are not on the multi-pass.
Now here's a super important pro tip that a lot of people miss. These two systems are totally separate. They don't talk to each other. That means you can have a multi-pass reservation for, say, Space Mountain at 2 o'clock and a single pass for Rise of the Resistance at 2:30. They don't interfere with each other at all, so go ahead and double up.
Okay, this is where it gets really fun. We've got the basics down. Now it's time to learn how to actually play the game. Knowing the rules is one thing, but knowing how to bend them to your will, that's how you have an absolutely epic day in the parks.
If you remember one thing from this, make it this, the 2-hour rule. It's simple. As soon as you book a ride with a multi-pass, a timer starts. You can book your next ride in one of two ways, either right after you physically tap into the ride you booked, or after 2 hours have passed. Whichever one of those happens first, you're good to book again.
And that little rule is the key to an awesome strategy called stacking. Think about it. You book a ride for 7 p.m. 2 hours later, you book another one for 7:30. 2 hours after that, you book one for 8. You keep doing this all morning, and by the evening, you've got this incredible list of back-to-back rides. You can just roll from one to the next with no waiting. It's especially amazing if you're taking a break in the afternoon or park hopping later.
But what happens if the ride you desperately want just isn't showing up, or the only time is like right during the parade? Don't panic. This is where you've got to learn to play the Disney slots. Remember, people are changing their plans all day long, which means new time slots are constantly popping up. You just have to know how to find them.
And here's how you do it. This is the trick. First, just book anything. Seriously, grab a lame ride, it doesn't matter. Now that you have a reservation, go to the Modify Plan screen.
This is your magic window. From here, you can just pull down to refresh over and over and over. You're just watching and waiting. The second, and I mean the second, a good time for the ride you actually want appears, you have to tap it and grab it as fast as you can.
So, to really get the most out of your day, you need to know which lightning lanes disappear the fastest. Here's a quick cheat sheet. At Disneyland Park, you're going to want to grab Indiana Jones or the Matterhorn right away. Over at California Adventure, it's all about Guardians of the Galaxy and Web Slingers. And if you're at Epcot in Florida, your top priorities are Regni's Ratatouille Adventure and Frozen. Grab these the second you can. Okay, let's get into some next-level stuff. We're going to cover two final pieces of the puzzle: how this all works with park hopping, and a look at the ultimate, top-tier way to skip the lines. So you've got a park hopper ticket. Can you book rides for that second park before you actually get there? Yes, you can. But the system is smart. It knows what time you're allowed to hop. At Disneyland, for example, hopping starts at 11 a.m. So even if you're booking at 9 a.m. from your first park, the app knows and it will only offer you return times that are after 11. Pretty clever, right?
And finally, over at Disney World, there's a brand new option for those who want the absolute best experience and are willing to pay for it. It's called the Premier Pass. And get this, you don't book anything. No return times, no refreshing, nothing. It's basically an all-day hall pass. You just walk up to pretty much any ride you want, whenever you want, and get in the lightning lane. It is the definition of VIP treatment. And yes, it has a very VIP price tag.
So, what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that the absolute best way to conquer a Disney park is with a hybrid strategy. Don't just rely on what you can buy. You've got to combine the free stuff with the paid stuff. That means getting there super early for rope drop to knock out a huge ride with no wait. And then you use your lightning lane passes to stack up a bunch of rides for a super chill and fun evening. And that really leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? With prices starting around $30 a person and going up from there, you have to decide. Is it worth it? Is the time you get back worth the money it costs? But now you know how both systems work, inside and out. You know the tricks, you know the strategies. So that's a question only you can answer for your next trip.